Okay, I think it's going. There we are. So, go ahead.
So yeah, it's my second time that I joined a call. Last time was wait, are we on Wednesday? Yeah, so on Sunday, last Sunday.
Oh, nice, man. Did you have any? You or DJ have anything you guys want to say or talk about? Anything or questions or anything?
Well, I was thinking that Dhammarato would be here, but I guess it's another type of call.
No, he's on what day? He's on Fridays, and
right.
is he also on another day for the UK?
Sundays.
That's
Yeah.
Sunday.
Sundays. Okay.
Friday and Sundays are the ones he makes it to. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's just us.
Because I saw a video about you guys also. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was curious. Like,
oh, nice.
Are you the one hosting this call, or how does it work?
Yeah, I'm hosting, but we're all just hanging out, talking, asking questions, having conversation about whatever comes to mind, whatever naturally arises.
All right. And where are you living?
I'm in Illinois.
Ah, and yet you're on the Sangha UK call.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they just needed somebody to host it.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters where you're exactly what location you're in, but
yeah,
it's really about the timing and the time zones, right? But if it works out for people who are in North America, you know, it works out. So
what time is it there?
Well, yeah,
right
I'm
now
in Canada.
It's 1.
It's 1 there, yeah. It's 2 here, so.
Yeah, I could put on an English accent if you like. Shall I talk like this?
Right, mate.
G'day, mate. Shrimp on the barbie. That's Australian. Now the UK people really aren't going to show up. What's this bloody American talking like he's an Aussie?
Right.
But is there anything that you're curious about or interested in, or just anything that has come to your mind in the last week or so regarding the Dhamma?
Regarding the Dhamma. Well, my current situation is that I've been traveling for like a lot of time now. So I've been practicing for a while, but I met Dhammarato, I guess, this month actually, like beginning of this month. So my practice of Anapanasati has been like kind of changed, because now I'm gladdening the mind instead of just observing and I guess letting go the things coming through me. So yeah, it has been like a big change, and quite a good change, especially also because the way of how I was practicing was mostly so instead of doing short sessions of sitting, I would do like an hour, like twice a day, because I was in India a couple of days ago. I mean, actually yesterday. And
India. Whoa, cool.
Yeah, and so I've done my first Vipassana courses, the Goenka Vipassana style. So I learned a lot, but also found a lot of flaws, in the frame, the way of teaching, and then practicing. So by meeting Dhammarato, a lot of things got clear, and that was really nice actually, because a lot of things I could clear out a lot of things, like from my mind and the way of how I would see my practice and Dhamma, practicing the Dhamma. And one thing that I've been realizing is, because I've been on the move most of the time. And now I'm back in Turkey, Istanbul. So the the
sure
switch,
get around, man.
yeah, the switch is really like really curious feeling, And but I realized that by practicing the Dharma, everywhere is the same. I mean, like I can feel that I'm disturbed because, for instance, my body language is mostly Indian way, and people here, obviously, they don't use their body language the same way. And at the same time, I realized that with my practice of Dharma, everything is still fine. But I can see my mind creating new thoughts, new problems because of being in a new place. And I'm actually in an apartment with my own room, which I haven't had for like years now. I've been, a nomad, let's say like this, for maybe 4 years. So, having a new routine, just silly thing, like money, because in India it's so cheap. In Turkey it's a little bit more expensive. So, how to deal with. So I can see my mind going through like a lot of process, but I'm still okay. When I'm sitting, I'm like, oh, everything is fine. I'm good.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I really have a question. It's just I have observations that I'm going through, and yeah, so, sometimes I have some unwholesome thoughts like doubts, but it's not like doubt that make me anxious. It's just doubts about this new situation. Like then I just realize, I mean, it's fine. There's no need to be worried about these things. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, there's no need to be worried. It's it can be difficult, especially when you're traveling a lot. But it could only be difficult insofar as we're allowing it to manifest in our mind that way. Just like
Yeah.
you were saying, once you chill out and you realize, oh, it's not too bad. Everybody's got things going on. That seems to be a really good way to be.
Mm.
And as far as body language goes, there's nothing wrong with body language, just like there's nothing wrong with speaking French as opposed to English. When we're
Yeah.
talking, in my opinion, just my opinion, but when we're talking about body language, we're talking about like agitation. We're talking about discontent. And it can come off in the way we move our body, twitching, itching, all these things. But
Well,
if you are aware of what your hands are doing, if you're aware of your manner of speaking as you're doing it, if there's no dissatisfaction there, if there's a harmonious balance, a peace there, there's nothing wrong with body language. It could be quite helpful for learning, especially
no,
with ASM.
I don't think there's like body language is a problem, but it's just like in every cultures, they use their body differently. And it's not about like, agitation. For me, it's more like, for instance, Indians, they would do this, with their hand to say yes, and
Yeah.
we join the hand to say thank you, like it's kind of like shaking hands in the West, So I have still these reflexes, of how I interact with people. But here, people, they are quite like steady, I guess. I mean, they don't really use much their body when they, I don't know, and even the faces, their expressions. Turkish are really nice people, and if you smile at them, they will smile. But in India, people are really smiling. Like it's amazing. You look at someone, and many times, if you just stop in the first seconds, in the first moment, many people would be really like a face really like serious and close. But at the moment you smile, the faces of most of the people in India just shine. And this is wonderful, And that's why it's different here, especially because even if Istanbul, Turkey is Asian, most of it, for most of the country, it's definitely a westernized country now, especially Istanbul. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just how things move and how I move in this world actually. and how the Dhamma is with me all the time, and how I can see like also my the experience that I have with a stranger, you know, like I don't know if it was the case before, but I realized that people tends to be more smiling when I'm interacting with them now. I mean, I kind of observe that, yeah, there's something more chill when I'm interacting with people, since I've been practicing this new way of gladdening the mind and feeling really good. And yeah, especially because like, so I arrived yesterday and I finally got my own space to practice, I mean, to sit and to really reinforce my practice of Dharma, which I was missing this own space when I was in just a few days ago in Mumbai, because I was in a hostel. But it doesn't matter where you are, you can still practice the Dharma. But I really realized that having your own space to sit, you know, secluded, really lifts you up, you know, during your day, especially to feel good. But here, I don't feel right now gladdening much the mind, but just generating like an inner smile, you know, which would be inside, obviously, and then rise on my face. And since I've been practicing this, when I'm interacting with someone, I have like this, this thing with people. Like I just want to smile at them, you know, like, and people would really smile. Like I'm like, oh wow, they're smiling.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, smiling's wonderful, you know. Sometimes I find for like Caucasian people, they sometimes it can be or white people or whatever you would like to call it, Europeans.
Mm.
They for indigenous people, for what some people call like Hispanic people, they're very like, my face is like, I look angry a lot. My wife says I have like a resting bee face, but I'm really most of the time quite jolly and happy on the inside. But for people who don't really know me, it can be like, man, he's serious, and I couldn't be less serious, or you know, it doesn't often depict what I'm actually feeling on the inside. But yeah, it can be helpful when people just express their emotions on their face. It's wonderful, you know.
Mm.
And whether they do or don't isn't really a problem, because then we're just projecting our own expectations onto others. But there is a lightness that comes when we're practicing here and now, of being satisfied here and now. There's a lightness and ease, a peace that comes with it, and smiles. Yeah, they come and go, and they naturally arise. And yeah, if you can help spread that energy with a smile, that's a wonderful thing. Especially if it comes more easily for you. it's a much welcome sight. That's for sure. Because we're so used to the fake smiles in modern society, of people trying to sell us something, and in society they're always I find with business a lot, or anything in Western culture, well, at least in America, there's a lot of psychological coaching. There's a lot of business training people how to be good at their careers, how to further themselves in their careers. And a lot of it is like feigning empathy. They're like, hey, if you want to seal that deal, get to know the person, get to know their family, ask questions about them, remember their names. And it's like, but you should do that because it's coming naturally, not because you're wanting to get something selfish out of it. So it's a lot like kind of like a psychopathic kind of way of teaching people something in the West, is if you want to get close to people, if you want a connection, and in most cases they're doing so with some outcome of buying something or having them buy something from me. It's like, in America we've become really good at the fake smile, of trying to put something on. Every interaction is a barter, is a sale, is something that I want from you or you want from me. So when people see a natural smile, when they meet a person who naturally feels satisfied, I feel like the energy is much different. It's much more real, you know, it's not forced in the negative sense of the way, you know. So yeah, smiling is wonderful, and authenticity is even more wonderful.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we talked on Sunday with Dhammarato. You know, he talked about the Bodhisattva principle, which is something that I've been really interested in. You know, like I feel it's a beautiful thing. I mean, the way of how you can enhance your mind, you know, in this way of in the way of the Bodhisattva. And then I really liked it because he kind of crushed the concept of Bodhisattva, which was kind of I mean, I might not say it the right way, but like it's like kind of the loser way, you know, saying like, may all living beings being happy, and I should be the last one enlightened, and I wish that all people, I mean, all being would be enlightened before me. So yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of how he just crushed this idea. But and then
Yeah.
he just talked about the fact that yeah, the people that we should actually wish, you know, enlightenment, happiness, whatever, should be around us, you know. And one of the tool would be yeah, smiling at people, simply as that. And yeah, I really realize that it's really powerful, especially like, you know, like I always been really I don't know if it's concerned the proper word, but every time that I would see someone begging, you know, in the street, I mean, obviously I cannot give all the time money, but considering the person and smiling at it, I always been something that I would try to do. And
That's very good.
yeah, and I think that yeah, smiling is so powerful, you know, as a Dhamma practice. You don't
Yeah.
need you don't need much.
Yeah, it's almost like Zen. Like it's the simplest form of communicating the Dhamma. You know, it's like almost a form of silence, a form of just smiling, radiating content, being content. What more could you ask for? You know, if you're satisfied and you're letting everybody see it, you know, that's one of the best ways, like Dhammarato says, to help spread the Dhamma and not doing it in a forceful kind of knocking on your door, trying to sell you some new religion type of thing. You know, it's like, it's just something that comes, that is born out of being satisfied. Just like you were talking about compassion. Compassion naturally arises when we're satisfied, you know, because a person who's content doesn't really need to steal anything. A person who's satisfied is naturally joyful and doesn't need to put other people down or to be jealous or anything like that. So it's yeah, that's wonderful, man.
Yeah. Yeah, talking about smiling too, another aspect with that is, you know, it has an element of being mindful or remember the body, right? So we can actually become aware of what's going on with the body and by extension, what is happening now. So that's another aspect to it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and how you were talking about that metta, and how I think a lot of, I guess in kind of like a mundane view, a lot of people say those things, you know, may all beings be this and be that. And it's like I was telling somebody the other day, I don't know if it was on a call or not, but it's like if you see a hungry dog on the street and you're praying, may this dog have food, may this dog find food. It's like, if you have food, if you could have a means to get food, give it to the dog. That's a better prayer. It reminds me of what Frederick Douglass said in his autobiography. He's like, you know, I prayed all the time, and I only started to become free when I started praying with my legs. meaning he was started to run away from his captors, and then the prayers really worked when he prayed with his legs. So, but at the other token too, a lot of Tibetan Buddhists, a lot of different sects will say those nice things, and there's nothing to, it may not be the correct way, but who really cares, if the person's saying the prayer, even if the person's not aware of the word Dhamma, if they're not aware of these, if they're satisfied in the moment and they're giving off an energy of wishing, hoping that other people are content, I don't see too much damage in that. It can't do too much, but it's important to keep the Buddha's teaching in mind of what he actually was trying to get across, which dukkha dukkha nirodha, satisfaction here and now.
Well, the thing with all this practice, especially like Tibetan Buddhism, which many come from Bon religion, there might be like a how do you say this? Like not from directly the Buddha, I guess, but I realized that when I would, like be close to Tibetan monks, nuns, whatever, it's more about, it's the same thing like gladdening the mind, actually, all these practices, because, when you wish all the time that all living being may, be happy, it's not just about, I believe, saying the thing, it's really enhancing something in you. And it's not just the practice, obviously, they have like so many practices. Like, for instance, when I was in the state of Karnataka in India, there are like different Tibetan settlements, like refugees camp, and you have one of the biggest monastery of Tibetan Buddhism. And so I went there weekend to meet a friend who is a geshe, so it's like a high rank, like a really important teacher. And he just, like showed me around and asked some question about how monks and nuns spend their time. And they spend like all the time reading, like reading Dharma teaching, and from 6 to even midnight, they just are in the Dharma, like praying, doing puja, and chanting all the sutras that they have in Sanskrit. And they finish their day by debating. So I don't know if you know how it looks like, but it's really intense, And so they have all these practices that actually just, your mind is just like crushed and reborn at the same time. So for me, these practices are quite healthy, I think, even if Dhammarato says it's like, not the right way. But I believe there's still of gladdening the mind, like using your mind and sculpting a new shape, of how to practice and how to become wholesome.
It's like football, soccer. It's like you can visualize yourself scoring the goal, getting the ball into the net, past the goalkeeper. And it's not that visualizing it is wrong, right? A lot of athletes use visualization. But if you're visualizing getting the ball into the goal all the time, if you're studying books on how to get the ball into the goal all the time, that can be really helpful. But if that's all you're doing and that ball keeps getting blocked by the goalkeeper, it's not really helpful. It might even come to a point where it may even hurt you. So the key would be, the middle way would be a balance. Like, sure, there's nothing wrong with visualization. There's nothing wrong with chanting. There's nothing wrong with producing these types of energies within ourselves. But at the end of the day, if it's not bringing us satisfaction right where we are, right where we sit, what use is it? I think if we're using it, if he's looking at the goal and he's saying, okay, I will get this ball in, I'm visualizing it in my mind, and he's done the physical practice enough, And on top of everything, he starts scoring goals. It doesn't really matter in a way whether you're, you know, dancing or reciting rap music, as long as what you're doing is getting that ball into the net. So if you find yourself satisfied, if you find yourself gladdening the mind, rinsing and repeating, remembering to look and change, and congratulating yourself. If you're satisfied, and then rinsing and repeating. It's not difficult, just like it's not difficult to get the ball into the net. But oftentimes we could get in our own way. And I think that's what a lot of the critique is with not enough emphasis on gladdening the mind here and now, but rather like doing it in some future way. Like may all beings be peaceful in the future. It's like things aren't necessarily that way, but we're wanting it to be that way. We're praying, we're hoping. It's like, well, I don't know what things will be like in the future, but I know how they're like now. And like everything in life, it's not doing what we want. And I could be okay with that. And in that way, it's perfect. And sure, if I could do something to help out the world in some way, shape, or form, or being, definitely I would do it. But the best thing we can do is if we're satisfied ourselves, then those things, that compassion, that helping others, it comes naturally, like arising from a fountain,
Yeah, it's interesting with like the phrase, may all beings be happy, because I think Dhammarato really does point out like where one might get into dukkha with that, where they're like, yeah, I want all these beings out there to be happy and this really conceptualized way, and furthermore I'm one of those beings and I'm not happy. I like his spin on it when he brings up, may all beings be as happy as I am right now, coming back to that attitude of a winner. But thinking about that phrase and having those kind of thoughts, right, really, I suppose, at least with my understanding, is if one is practicing that, in a way that's going to lead to the end of dukkha, it's really just pointing towards harmlessness or non-cruelty in terms of that, right? Like rather than wishing ill will upon whoever, right? It's just
there's no ill intention, even with I mean, well, even in the mundane teachings, there's no ill intention by either the teachers or the monks or the students or the lay people themselves. There's no, it's just in a way the mundane teachings just to kind of give people something that aren't able to grasp the super mundane. I've always thought, and some people are willing to, some people can, and like Dhammarato said, when his teacher was like, hey man, now's the time to start doing it because it's kind of necessary and all these things, and he's just like, okay, no problem. It's like either way, at the end of the day, it's like, we don't have to play the game. I'm going to be the best Buddhist. I'm going to be the best this. I'm going to be the best this. I'm going to teach the Dhamma the best of it this way. I'm going to hold on to these concepts that I think the Buddha really taught the most. If I'm satisfied, all these things of Tibetan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, Theravada, who's right, who's wrong, black and white, all that stuff disappears. The self, not self, impermanent self, all these things disappear. It's only when I start attaching to these concepts, when I not remembering to look and change, and I take these things in the mind seriously and don't see them for what they are, which is anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, dissatisfactory, and not fixed. It's not a fixed self. It's constantly changing. It's not going to last forever. So why hold on to all these things? So. You don't need to be master enlightened. You don't need to be the best, smartest, and brightest. You don't need to have all the correct answers all the time. That's not what I am. If I'm a human, I'm partly a human. Just as the bird flies, I'm just going to be a human, and that's good enough for me. Right now is good enough. And if we can learn to accept things as they are, good enough. And yeah, what more do we need to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I like that you brought up too, like the, don't need this, don't need that, in terms of, we have all these ideas of being a perfect whatever, right? And really they're concepts. And so coming back to like whatever it is, an immediate renunciation, right? That's going towards the wholesome, where it's being like, yeah, don't need that. I've been actually, when I'm practicing throughout the day, but also when I get into seclusion, just coming back to nothing to get, whatever that thing is, and then just breathing, coming back to relaxing breaths, and that's enough. Like just experience reality as it is, and there's nothing to get rid of either. Like, so it's interesting because I'll kind of play around with these wholesome thoughts and come back to them. And then even if the thought comes up, well, there's hindrances to get rid of. And it's like, yeah, when hindrances arise. But if we have the thought there's nothing to get rid of, right? We're kind of taking that winner's attitude, where it's like, yeah, no, because if we're like, now I'm fabricating a whole bunch of hindrances right now to get rid of, right? So it's about breaking the cycle. There's nothing to get rid of right now when we recognize it fully. There's nothing to get, there's nothing to keep. So that's another thing too that's been kind of nice, is just coming back, because an experience will arise or what have you, and then there'll be like sort of like wanting that to continue, or some kind of you could say insight or what have you, whatever it is, right? That need to hold on, that need to keep something, and just being like, oh no, there's nothing to keep. And so it's really easy to come back to satisfaction when that's the case. And that's what this is about.
Yeah. It really is super easy to come back to satisfaction, because no matter what happens, it's remembering to look and change. And then as what I like to say, as these baby dukkha's arise, these baby dissatisfactions, those are okay too, because it's just more nutrients for the Dhamma, for the soil of our mind, and if we look at suffering as something that's beneficial to helping our Dhamma practice, does it then still stay as suffering or dissatisfaction? No, we transform it. We transform it into satisfaction by looking at it differently, by changing our way we're thinking about it, feeling about it, emoting about it. with wholesome actions, nurturing actions and speech. It's quite simple. It's remarkably simple. I used to play a game with myself where, I have to be the best Buddhist. I have to know the most, be the most, see the most, do the most. And then one day I woke up from hearing Dhammarato talk always listening to him talk, and things start to click, like, maybe I'm not the best Dhamma host. Maybe I'm not the best Pali Canon know everything that's in there, know all the words, scholar, but that's okay. And me being okay with not being the best, me being okay with things as they are right here, right now, just me alone with my breath is enough. It doesn't matter what the Buddha said in the Pali Canon. I have Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, who I know we can all speculate all day long. Well, the Buddha said this, and Ananda wrote this down, and these things in the Pali Canon. Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. And if it helps us, wonderful. But at the end of the day, I like the Dhamma, because when you meet, or when you read about people like Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, when you meet people like Dhammarato, you don't need to really even know anything about the Buddha or the Pali Canon, because these people are telling you something that, if you practice, will work. So they are the Buddha, and when you're satisfied, you thereby then become the Buddha as well. That's always kind of been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think about, because personally I really like to read, so I've been reading a lot of, I like to read different type of books. especially Dharma teaching, like from Mahayana, Theravada, and some are quite, like last time, not last time, like one of the last book that I tried to read from Mahayana teaching was the Madhyamaka from Nagarjuna, so about emptiness, and so I couldn't really like read the book as I usually would do, so I kind of stopped it, and I also realized that all the books that I read, which have taught me things, but most of them I don't really remember at the end. And the thing is, the one thing that I remember is to practice anapanasati and to the simple things. It's not from the heavy, deep teaching from books that I read that I'm actually practicing. I'm practicing the most simple thing that might lead to this really complex concepts that you find in Buddhism. And that's the power I feel. It's like, because when I'm reading those really tricky, teaching, that I close the book and I just go on in my daily life, the book doesn't exist anymore. It's just the simplicity of practicing anapanasati, and that's why for me it's so powerful. This Dharma. And
It's
for
like
instance,
Sorry, if what Dhammarato, you were asking where Dhammarato was earlier. If he were here, I can't be positive, but I'm sure he would tell you along those lines. The best book we can read is between our own ears. It's in our heart, and it's existing because only you can really know if you're satisfied. Only you can change your unwholesome thoughts, feelings, and emotions into something wholesome with nurturing speech, nurturing actions, wholesome speech, wholesome actions. So that's what I was telling my friends the other day. I'm like, who cares if you're the king of France? Who cares if you're the king of the world? If you're not satisfied, what good does that do? You could recite the whole Pali Canon up and down. What good does it do if you're not satisfied? That's why it doesn't have to be Dhammarato or Buddhadasa Bhikkhu or the Buddha himself. If you meet a mechanic who's working on a car and he gives you a practice where you can do for yourself and you can see that, wow, this is working. This guy's making me turning the dukkha into sukha. Yeah, it's probably good advice to take from that person. It doesn't matter as long as it's we're looking at the results, and the results are, can we be satisfied here and now without needing anything outside of what's within us? Can we be satisfied? And if the answer is no, then change it to yes, we can be satisfied. It's easy.
Yeah, earlier today I went to get some groceries, and once I was in front of the guy to pay. Well, I don't really speak Turkish. I just know few words, few numbers, but it's kind of, I'm kind of rusty, like my brain is still in India for some, for some stuff. And so the guy was, talking, to me about things, and I couldn't really understand. And I realized that he wasn't really happy about something, I don't know. And I felt some discomfort rising in me, like because of being in this awkward situation, not understanding the guy. And suddenly I just felt happy not to be able to understand. And I just be like, whatever. And I just smiled because the situation, I was like, why should I worried about what this guy is, disturbed with or not happy with? And it's for some stuff, I think it's good to be ignorant sometimes, like, well, whatever, I don't know this.
Yeah, it's good to be ignorant of of other people's ignorance, you know? It's like you can't change the weather. You can't change other people's attitudes, so why would we let it affect us, you know? Why would we let it rain on our parade, you know? It's like they can feel however they wish. And like Buddhadasa Bhikkhu said when they was asked about like people who were saying bad things about him behind his back, he said, "Oh, I love when people talk bad about me. It's great. It's wonderful, because that's the eightfold path, the noble path. It's like, oh, there's something happening that should cause discontent. No, it shouldn't. I'm going to be satisfied. I'm going to use it as fuel to be satisfied here and now." So that's exactly what you did, and it's nice to congratulate ourselves when we catch those moments, you know, when we start developing this kind of momentum, these kind of good habits.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, no, that's good noticing. Like when we become aware of that, and yeah, Alex, like seeing the kind of even subtle, you know, forms of dissatisfaction that come up. I mean, that's why that translation of dukkha's dissatisfaction can be a helpful pointer, because it's like, no, this is very thorough. Like having a kind of unpleasant, or what would be perceived as an unpleasant, you know, experience at the supermarket can get turned around so quickly to where we can be satisfied again, you know. But who knows, those little things, you know, if we aren't watching, you know, might wind up building up into a big thing, right? But we notice those and we change them around, and it's just it's wonderful. Yeah. Well, I felt like touching on, we were talking a bit about, you know, really it's about directly knowing this, right? At the end of the day, it's about directly understanding, you know, this is, you know, the end of dissatisfaction right here, right now. You know, it's not something about, you know, really having a hardcore, like, oh, once we have the conceptual idea of it, then it's it, right? Or we have to go and prove a bunch of stuff to a bunch of people, and then that's it. It's like, no, directly understanding this. And funny enough, I'm going to go to a text or a sutta, and it's quite a popular one to bring up, but the Kalama Sutta, right? Where the Kalamas, you know, ask the Buddha, like he comes into a village and they're like, oh, there's all these Brahmins and there's all these different teachers. Who do we follow? You know, and the Buddha kind of says, you know, don't go by what this person says. Don't go by this thing. Don't go by something just because it's in a text. Only one you directly know. That is what to follow. And then he does lead into, you know, is delusion is ignorance, in the sense of ignorance, you know, that actually leads to one's harm, you know, lead to my welfare, or, you know, not welfare, right? Or to the welfare of myself or others, right? So it's like looking into that and being like, oh, of course that leads not to my welfare, or with greed or ill will, right? So it's like directly when we understand these things, you know, obstruct, you know, being satisfied right here, right now. That's it. We directly understand that. It's interesting talking, though, about ignorance, and it kind of, in some cases, you know, in one context actually being good, a particular kind of ignorance. And really, this is about like how we direct the mind, right? So it's like, yeah, no, if we're directing the mind to where we're worrying about like everything that people are saying about us, it's like, no, that's going to be dissatisfying. There's no way we can, like, there's only so much you can do about that, and all the people pleasing and all that. That's not going to wind up being satisfied, or you're not going to wind up being satisfied that way. We're not going to, you know. So when one recognizes, hey, we can drop all that, that's fine, that's cool. But again, it's not like one needs to worry about harming other people, because when we're content and satisfied, we're not going to be a jerk. We're not going to harm other people. We don't want anything enough to the point where we're going to do that. And that's the point. Yeah.
That's why society tries to make you feel miserable, so you buy lots of things, because miserable people buy lots of makeup, buy lots of gym memberships, buy lots of this, buy lots of retreats, buy lots of that. Miserable people are always looking for a way out of misery, and they'll spend lots of money to find a way out of it. But when you're satisfied, how could you ever charge for helping somebody who's dissatisfied, helping them see the light and get satisfied if they want it? You know, it's like, how can you charge money for that? these things naturally you'll want to give it away to somebody who's asking you about it or curious about it. You almost can't help but talk about it because it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the golden carrot that's here and now and always has been here. We just had to brush the dirt off a little bit and be like, oh yeah, this thing's here, this wonderful thing that's available to me. The doorway of the breath that shows me that these conceptual notions, they're just that, they're just concepts, just like the bird flies. The human has very sensitive things that cause him all different types of thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and it's okay. And the nurturing speech of let's come back to the breath. Those things aren't really real even. We see you, Mara. We know what you are. You can't fool us into thinking you're real. Real important anyway. So, if you're satisfied, you're satisfied. And that's a cool thing about this practice is it's kind of like it's so user friendly in that way. You know that you're on the right path when you start becoming more satisfied. If you wake up one day and you find, man, I've been practicing this Noble Eightfold Path, and I've been satisfied a lot lately. And even when I'm not satisfied, I'm not even really unsatisfied because I quickly remember to look and change it into satisfaction. And then we just rinse and repeat and come back to this beautiful breath of the moment where everything's fine here, nothing's happening, nobody's out to get me. I'm just chilling, not causing any harm, not doing anything, just talking the Dhamma. I mean, this is heaven on earth right here. This is good enough.
Yeah, that's one thing that I realized through one mantra, which is one of the most famous one, I guess, like Om Mani Padme Hum, which means the
I love
precious,
that one.
yeah, precious jewel in the lotus.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like to chant this. Like
Me
first,
too.
when I do the first session in the morning and the last one in the night, I really like this practice, like the first thing that I would say and the last thing that I would say would be this wholesome mantra, reflecting on the meaning and on the paramitas. And I actually really realized the meaning of having this precious jewel with you in you, which took me some time, I guess. But now I realize that it's like, you're wearing a backpack all the time on you, and it's kind of becoming a blanket, a warm blanket around you. Sometimes you can, forget about it, and suddenly it's just back on you, around you, in you, and that's the jewel, that's yeah, this is crazy. It's so, yeah, it's a precious thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's available here and now.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that is worthy of any real pursuit.
Mm.
And that's what everybody's looking for, really, is satisfaction. That's what all the actors. I always think it's so funny. I see the most beautiful women on Instagram, and I'm talking like Selma Hayek, like these beautiful models and actresses. And I can't help but notice they're still always posting selfies, but there's nothing wrong. I'm not judging them or anything. But it does show me that they're searching for something. They want something. And I know that they want satisfaction. And in a lot of ways, people try to get it by getting attention from others, And it's like, you don't need anything outside of yourself. It's all right here, right now. It's like you don't have to chase the like buttons. You don't have to chase the subscribes. And that's what a lot of younger people are starting to develop, these bad habits of, people must like what I say. People must subscribe to my beliefs. People must give me attention that I seek. And nothing could be further from the truth,
Mm.
You don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Just need your breath, and you don't even need that, because if you're dead, like Dhammarato says, all your problems are over anyway, so you're good to go.
Yep. Yep. Everything dies, but let's chill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I drink
Everything changes. What's that?
coffee that you're drinking.
Yeah, coffee. Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
A favorite?
My favorite?
Yeah.
My favorite would probably be some coffee I make myself at home because I put a little cocoa powder and a little coconut oil in it.
Really?
And
Wow.
yeah, it's just black bold coffee. That's my favorite. But I do love Dunkin' Donuts. It's wonderful.
Do you take
But I know
Dhamma?
good I know like there's like I go to some coffee shops. I'll get some like really nice espressos and stuff. So I like the quality stuff too, but this is good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough is perfect.
That's kind of like an interesting aspect when thinking about it, when we're kind of ordinarily going on about like, okay, I kind of prefer this coffee. But really, like when we understand, it's like, yeah, the answer is like whatever coffee we're
Yeah.
currently drinking. If we're
Yeah.
like, I think this is kind of, again, we can talk about it sometimes or what have you. But yeah, recognizing like, yeah, it's whatever coffee we're currently drinking. This is enough, and because ultimately, as we were talking about, right? It's like,
the monks aren't gonna like that one.
what?
Oh, hi, buddy.
Hello.
So this is my first time here.
Oh, welcome, dude.
Thank you. I'm still kind of figuring out the Skype. This looks very weird. These are kind of very weird proportions.
Yeah, it's you'll get used to it. It's not too difficult of a platform, really.
Okay.
Your camera looks good.
Is my picture like okay, or do I like seem weirdly
Oh,
out of?
yeah, they're always changing and flip-flopping the sizes
Yeah.
and stuff on Skype depending on how many people and how you're holding your phone if you're on a phone. So don't worry about that. Yeah.
All right, but great to be here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, great to have you, man. We were just talking about coffee, and he was saying you like Dunkin' Donuts, and I was like, well, I do know there's quality stuff that I like, but Dunkin' Donuts is good enough. And then DJ was saying how that's like, yeah, that's kind of like a good little Dhamma lesson. And then I was saying like, but I know some people are like, well, water should be good enough, but that's another Dhamma lesson because it's like, yeah, I'm not the most perfect Dhamma practitioner, and I'm okay with that. I drink coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, no. As do I. But yeah, no, that's sort of the thing though, is because then we can be like, oh, I have to get everything in order, and only then, once I become the perfect practitioner, then I can finally be satisfied. So
Yeah, I'm sure there's people out there who practice the Dhamma and they're like, they try to be like that crazy wisdom. Well, I should be allowed to do whatever I wish because it's like I don't go that extreme, but I do have coffee and
Yeah.
some other little pleasures here and there that probably wouldn't fit in a in a Watt somewhere or something. But that's okay. That's okay with me. I don't have to be the best.
Yeah, we can have pleasures, but we don't have to cling to those pleasures when they end. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as there's no dissatisfaction, as long as you're not hurting yourself or others, more power to you.
Yeah, precisely. No, that's just it. It's a really like helpful reflection, I find. Yeah, whenever, I remember and I'm consuming whatever food or beverage, right? Is to just be like, oh yeah, but really at the end of the day, whatever pleasure comes from this is temporary. And I can have, or I can recognize a pleasure that is not relying on these things, right? It's not relying on the coffee. It's not relying on whatever this thing is. Just by coming back to the breath, just by abandoning the need for anything, right? Just by being like, okay, well, there's nothing to get, there's nothing to get rid of. There's nothing, to keep or hold on to. Again, that's just what I've been coming back to. And
Yeah.
to come back to just, just then satisfaction just comes up. It's cool.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the Pali Canon is so specific and so, especially not even mentioning getting into the rules for the monastics and stuff like that, but it's like telling somebody, just like chill out and be a good person isn't good enough. Don't worry, be happy. It's not good enough for some people. So then you got to get to, well, it's like what's a good person? It's like, do I have to tell you what a good person is? Yeah, but everybody has these ideas of what a good person is and what they should be and shouldn't be. But the wise person, to them, it just kind of like comes naturally. Like, you don't hurt yourself, you don't hurt others, you don't unintentionally try to cause dukkha for yourself or others. And it's like, but okay, the student asks the questions, the student gets thousands of different specific answers, and it's like, well, let's start with giving up drugs, let's give up alcohol, let's give up dancing, let's give up music, and learn to be okay without needing anything on the outside. So it's teaching people who, in a lot of ways, just never learn to just be like, don't worry, be happy. It's showing them how to don't worry, be happy. It's guiding them along, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, we get to drink coffee. I'm joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But do you go there for the donuts or the coffee?
Well, I'm not really a sweet person, but I have had my fair share of donuts in my life. But mostly I'm a coffee drinker. Yeah, just when I go there, I get a coffee, and I'm satisfied with that. I'm like a meat and potatoes type of guy, not so much of a sweets. I do like dark chocolate. It's pretty good.
What? What is
I
this?
like dark chocolate. It's not
Oh,
too
dark.
bad. Yeah, a little bit here and there. Nothing crazy.
But yeah, I forgot to mention my name, but I just like burst into this Sangha.
Ah.
So yeah, I'm Tuomas and I'm from Finland.
Oh,
How is it? How do you say it?
Tuomas.
Thomas?
You can say Thomas if it's okay, but it's in Finnish it is pronounced Tuomas.
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 Tuomas. Tuomas. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's a good name. It's a good darn name.
Yeah.
Is there many Dhamma practitioners where you're from?
I just got last week I got into this local group, or we kind of formed it. There was this one Theravada Mahayana teacher who I contacted, and we formed a small group of 3 people who practice, and he will teach them every other week. So yeah, not that
Nice.
much. And I think there's only one proper Buddhist, registered Buddhist group in Finland, I think. Yeah.
When you
That's
say
cool,
group,
man.
Big
temple?
thing, not a small group, but yeah, this big. Yeah.
Do you mean you have is it a center, like a Buddhist center or temple?
It has it's not a temple. It has a kind of, or I don't know, I've never been there, but it is basically registered in the law stuff. I don't know how it works, but it's registered there, and it is basically, I think it's Korean Zen, the lineage they have there. But yeah, I've never been to that place, so I don't know the specifics of it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Zen is wonderful. I've never heard of I've never met any Korean Zen practitioners though, but that's pretty cool. I'd be interested to talk to some of them. They make great movies as Koreans.
Yeah.
Great directors.
Yeah, Korean movies. And also
Best.
the humors, a really funny way of making comedy. Or even when
Yeah.
it's not like a comedy movie, they just have this way of making it funny in some ways. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Korean movie called Poetry,
Mhm.
and I forget the director's name, but he also directed a movie called Burning. That's his most popular movie,
What else
and
is
it has the guy from The Walking Dead in it, the Asian guy from The Walking Dead. But anyways, his movies are great because I get kind of when I'm watching his films, I get kind of a ASMR kind of like I get kind of in a zen mode when I'm watching his movies because there's not much dialogue, and it's really amazing how he can draw you in with very little, and it's very zen like to me. So if you ever get a chance, yeah, there's a movie called Burning and Poetry, and they're wonderful. I wish I could remember the Korean director's name, but it's good stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've watched one. It's called from also a Korean director. So it's spring, summer, fall, winter, I think. It's the
yes,
title.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
really good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
about the Dhamma.
Yeah, I don't know if you looked on the internet to know where was this temple, but this temple doesn't exist. I was disappointed. I thought this
Yeah.
was a place, real, but they actually build the temple for the movie.
The floating
Yeah,
Zendo or whatever
yeah.
on the water.
Yeah, they built it.
That's awesome. That was a
Yeah,
great movie.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's probably it for me. Unless anybody else has any questions or anything.
Well,
Wait, so is it like ending now?
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, we could stick around a little bit more if you had any questions, but
Oh, okay.
uh,
I got the time wrong. I thought it was
oh
starting
no,
now. I think.
it's been
Okay.
it's been kind of confusing because in America, one, I'm an American host on a UK thing, and two, our times change, and probably the UK maybe has stayed the same, so that's also confusing.
Mhm.
But it's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesdays. I probably should change it to 2 to make it more convenient for UK people, but um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, next time if you join us at 1, we'll be on a lot longer. But if you have any other questions, we can all jump in and help you out if you had anything before we leave.
I think nothing specific comes to mind. I'm really looking forward to see if I can join the other Sangha meetings. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I hope you do. Yeah, they're on Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
yeah,
and
thank you.
DJ does one, Dhammarato obviously, and then this Wednesday one, and yeah,
Yeah, Dhammarato does the Fridays and Sundays, and then I help post the Saturday ones on Discord. So yeah.
yeah. Are you part of the website, the Open
No,
Sangha Foundation?
not yet. Yeah, not yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you want, you could become a member there. It's just you just put in some like little information like email and stuff, and then I like to write posts and stuff, and people you can talk to people on there and see information about different like temples and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Are
I
you on
went
our
in.
Skype groups and stuff?
No, nothing at all. Yeah, nothing.
Oh yeah, join our Skypes, bro. Yeah. Well, I mean we're on Skype now, but join the US one too, and the Discords and stuff if you're not already on there.
Yeah, so the joining the Skype groups, is there like some specific I need to join, or just like click the links on the Dhammarato videos, or
What say you, DJ?
Oh, yeah. So for the Skype ones, it's just, I mean, you're already in this one, so
Yeah.
it would just be joining the US one, click the link. But on the Discord, it's pretty much the same thing. On the videos, they have the links to the Discord, and then you can just join in, and there's a bunch of different chats. You can go, I don't know if you have Discord, but there is a like browser version, and then you can also download an app for Discord as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you at more these little get-togethers.
Yeah.
Great. I'm looking forward to it as well. It was really nice meeting you all.
Yeah.
You're awesome. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Much
Take care,
peace and
everyone.
love.
Yes, have a good day, have a good night, whatever you are.
Yeah. Adios, brothers.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.